Closed captioning for Family Guy is brought to you in part by...
Welcome back, everybody, and today I've got a special guest on my channel. Please welcome comedian and ex-felon Bill Cosby.
Well, thank you for having me on your Let's Play channel. You know, Rudy used to make these all the time. That is before the accident.
I'm sorry, what's this about an accident?
Well, you see, Rudy liked to go real fast in his car.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize, but it seems someone broke into the recording studio in the middle of Mr. Cosby's story, and, well, I don't think he can really finish the story at this point, so you'll just have to use your imagination. But anyway, Yu-Gi-Oh, huh? How about that? Now, this isn't your typical Yu-Gi-Oh game, by the way. This is a strategy RPG. There are no cards involved. You've got 3 different teams to manage, each with 3 captains. You got the Yu-Gi-Oh guy, you got a hot lady, and you got a radical Islamist and a burqa, each with their own 3 RPG monsters that they can command. And you gotta tell them where to go, and then they can engage in some of the most simplistic RPG combat there ever was. No spells, no items, at least not at this stage. Just point at the enemy again and again and again. When I rented this game back as a kid, I thought I was playing it wrong because the combat was so damn simple. But no, I wasn't really missing anything. Okay, so the Yu-Gi-Oh team got 500 gold for freeing that windmill from whoever. The radical Islamist team is going into that berm over there in the hopes that we can find the wolf enemy. You see the speedrunning tactic here. There's a 50-50 chance on this level that you're going to run into a wolf enemy in the bushes. And if you do, then the wolf becomes part of your team. But again, there's only a 50-50 chance of that happening. And speaking of 50-50 chances, you see that ogre marching through the mountains there? That doesn't always happen. Sometimes he just hides in the castle and you have to fight him there, and sometimes he'll get up and greet you, which is what he's doing in this run. The fact that the run played out this way is actually an advantage for us, because since we're in a building and he's not, we get a defensive bonus, as opposed to if we tried to attack him at the castle, it would be the other way around. I mean, either way, this is just the first level, so it doesn't make too big of a difference, but still, it's lucky that this run played out the way it did. And here's an overly verbose explanation of the battle system. Okay, let's get down to business. Believe me, I said that this was the most basic RPG combat there ever was, and I was not lying. You will see that here. Even Final Fantasy on the NES had more stuff than this. The stars indicate how many moves you can do before the battle concludes. I guess in some respects the developers had some oversight and they realized if they just had one battle going continuously until one side was wiped out, we'd be here all damn day. And so they thought of a way to break up the monotony. Here we go, Karnak's Bubbles. Your favorite Let's Player has gotten himself into a bit of a jam here. We're stuck in some of the slowest combat there ever was. Am I your favorite Let's Player, viewer?
Well, actually, I prefer Ego
Daniel!
Giving a shout out to old Harry Partridge. Harry Partridge is a good guy. You should go subscribe to him if you aren't already. Yeah, this is the endorsement that his channel needs. He's on the way to the top. But yeah, I look at the fact that Harry Partridge doesn't make content anywhere near as fast as he should, but it always turns out rock solid when it does get done, and I can relate to that in a sense. Harry Partridge. Hello, you. No, wait, no, that's the other guy. That's Guru Larry. I almost had the chance to meet Guru Larry a couple of months ago, but it didn't pan out, unfortunately. But wouldn't that have been something? Somebody famous like Guru Larry taking the time to interact with a nobody like me. Seems almost unthinkable. As the owner of the world's slowest growing channel, the likelihood of me ever meeting somebody famous through this channel is pretty much nothing, but it's fun to dream. Okay, the battle's over. I mean, not really, but again, I guess the game just got kinda tired of waiting. There's a trick you can do where you can move your other team onto the location and try and dry out the enemies by having them fight multiple waves. But we are otherwise engaged because we've got the wolf battle that I warned you about. There was a 50-50 chance of this happening, and we got lucky. Here it is. So we basically just have to stab him a bunch and then he'll join our team, but not until the next round. So our B team seems to be doing a decent job here. We've got a combined 8 more moves we can use, and he's only got 2. The odds don't look good for old Wolfie. Remember on American Idol when they had that guy named Wolfie because he liked wolves, and that was such a bizarre thing. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I watched American Idol at the height of its popularity in 2005. But hey, I was just a little boy back then. It was acceptable at that age. Okay, one more whack and he's out of here. Fucking die. There, we got that disgusting furry out of here. If they were to modernize this game for the millennials, they would replace that wolf with just a misunderstood woman in a wolf costume who hangs out in the woods and makes wolf noises. I feel like that only became a thing with the millennial generation. Never really heard about that with older people, you know. I mean, everybody my age who went to high school probably knew at least one furry, you know, those types of people. You know, once I was looking for some song from the 50s totally unrelated to furries, but I stumbled on a video of someone I went to high school with who was part of a furry group, and they'd like go out in the woods and pretend to be animals, and it's so utterly bizarre. So the lobster seems to have the best defense out of all of them, which is kind of why I'm saving him for last. Yeah, let's have a peek at the stats. Yep, that confirms it. The lobster has almost double the defense of that sniveling little worm. So naturally, we're gonna go to him last. Speaking of lobsters, when I was in high school, I once had to read a short story by a famed author David Foster Wallace about the Maine Lobster Festival, and truthfully, I don't remember what the conflict of the story was, but the gist of it seemed to be that David Foster Wallace did not approve of what was going on there. There's too many goddamned lobsters at this festival. What is he, Steve Harvey now? Speaking of Steve Harvey, I saw a clip from Come Town the other day. I'm kind of ashamed that I watched them, but hey, it's funny anyway. So they were doing a bit where Steve Harvey was the judge at the Nuremberg trials. He was saying, "You did what with the ovens? Back in my day, we used to use the ovens to bake cookies, and you did what?" Many good jokes have come from that podcast. You kinda have to space out your viewership of it, though. If you try to watch it every day, the jokes get a bit repetitive. You really need to take breaks from it to really enjoy it. I don't really keep up with the show that much, which makes it kind of confusing when you just jump around. I found a clip once where it was almost a completely different cast. They still had Nick Mullen in there, but the other two guys were replaced by a black dude and a woman. I'm just thinking, well, these are the two enemies of anyone who watches Cumtown. What are they doing there? Why is it a completely different cast? I don't understand. But enough about Cumtown. That is certainly not what people came here for. Boo! We want more Yu-Gi-Oh! Commentary! So this is the real battle of the level, by the way. The previous one was just a warm-up, you see. This is where it all comes together. Yu-Gi-Oh! At its finest or some shit. It always annoys me when people in reviews say something is X at its finest. It's lazy writing. So, did you guys ever watch the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged YouTube series? I didn't. I mean, I'm a weeb, but I'm not that big of a weeb. I mean, fucking Jesus. I mean, there are limits to just how far you can go. I don't know, between Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged and DBZ Abridged and fucking Pee-wee's Playhouse Abridged or whatever, I feel like that type of media is really the line between normal weebs who just passively enjoy anime every now and again, and the weebs that you normally see on the internet. That is the type of breed of weeb that goes to conventions and doesn't bathe, and those types of weebs, yeah. So I'm gonna try out the strategy that I was talking about earlier, where you try to dry out the enemy by having them fight multiple waves of enemies. So the team that you just saw, they're gonna hang back, and for the middle round we're gonna swap in a different team, and then for round 3 we'll go back to our original team and make things much more strenuous for the enemy. Gotta play our numbers to our advantage. Soon our enemies will have to contend with the unyielding force of 2 skeletons and a rat. Or a beaver, rather. I believe the official canonical name for that Yu-Gi-Oh! Character is Beaver Warrior. I was somewhat of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Nerd back at the height of its popularity in 2003. Simpler times, when all we had to worry about was the Iraq War. So, that one skeleton, the one who's currently doing an attack, kinda reminds me of that one creature from that episode of SpongeBob where they were selling chocolates, and what did he say? They're selling chocolates. What? Chocolates? They're selling chocolates. You just can't wait for me to die, can you? SpongeBob used to be such a creatively written show, and somewhere along the line they figured out that kids are stupid and they'll watch literally anything and they don't have to try anymore. And from that day forward there were no quotes, there were no gags, there were no nothing. Okay, so now Celtic Guardian and his homies, that's cringe. But anyway, the other team's going back in to finish the job. So this shouldn't be overly difficult. There's 3 of us, and only 1 of him, as has often been said in Jackie Chan movies, before disaster struck. Yeah, so they never really did anything else with this whole Yu-Gi-Oh! RPG concept, aside from this one game. I guess in some respects the developers were kind of embarrassed by this game's poor reception. I think GameSpot gave it like a 2 out of 10 or something. Yeah, people did not like this. But honestly, it's not that bad. It's my philosophy to take chances on bad games, quote-unquote bad games, because everything has somebody behind it who believed in what they were doing. Okay, we did it. Look at that. And once this guy gets done talking, there's an extra surprise for us. There it is, we get to play as that cool dragon we were just fighting. Which means next episode we get to do some team building. Ooh, yeah, exciting, yeah.